Hello guys and welcome back. So let's take a look at what we have now, and you see that we have the iris and the eyeball textures, but some of the things are missing, like that when you get closer to the edge of the eyeball you have more red color, and maybe I don't want the veins go all the way to the middle of the eyeball, right? I can actually control that inside of Maya instead of trying to texture those things, because I would like to have the control here instead of going back and forth between Maya and the texturing software like Mari. Okay, so let me stop the render. And I'm going to go for the first thing I was mentioning, which is the color variations. Right now my eyeball is using this file, right, this file image, which I can now preview. And I'm gonna use that to blend with another color to eliminate what's happening here in the middle. I'm gonna use the blend color node. Okay, I'm gonna drag this one to color 1, and color 2 will be just a white color, or the color of the the normal color of the eyeball. And right now the blender is 0.5, it's not being controlled, so I need something to control it, and that something will be a new ramp. Let me Control D to duplicate the ramp that is driving the eyeball here, and connect that to the blender. Okay, hold it down, Control and drag it there to use the same thing to drag that guy, and the results will then go to the base color and the subsurface color. Okay, now let's take a look at what's happening here. Let's go to the render and start the render. Now you'll see, like right now I'm not seeing any of the wrinkle anymore. I'm just seeing the any of the vent anymore. I'm just seeing the white color, which is actually the color here. I can actually tweak it to make it different, right? So that's because this ramp is only allowing the vent to appear in the middle, which is transparent here. So let me just do some reverse to invert the coloring. Now you can see my vent appears on the side but not in the middle. Now it's up to me now to tweak this, right? Tweak this ramp to determine, if I wanted to have more or less happening in the middle compared to the side. So I can just drag that over like this, so that I have a gradient. My veins are now only appear on the edge, but not in the middle. It's all being driven by this ramp. The good thing about this kind of method is that you have full control here in the render, not in the texturing software. That gives you a lot of convenience to tweak because you don't have to go back and forth. Alright, so that's going to be this little part here, and afterwards I can then use the same thing I did using blend color, use this guy to also drive the bumpiness. I'm going to drag that to the bump map, which is underneath geometry, bump map, drag it there. And it will ask me what to do with it. I'm going to use the output R to do the bump value. Oh, not there, sorry. Maybe I probably should Control Z to go back a little steps, because I don't know if I destroy that value there. Again, just drag it to the bump mapping. It will ask you what to connect. Use the output R to control the bump value, so that bumpiness will be controlled. Let's take a look at the render. Now you can see the eyeball now are having a very strong bumpiness on it, which is kind of wrong, right? So I need to first make a smaller value, like 0.2 or so that it's not bumping out too much. Another thing is that the bumping in is, the bumping in part is actually where the vent is. I should get the reversed result, so I'm gonna put in negative value there, so that my vent is actually bumping out, and they're still too strong, so I'm gonna maybe make that even smaller, so 0.005 or so it's really weak. Maybe too weak. So 0.01, just to trying to find a sweet spot that I can still feel some bumpiness, but it's not like making it too rough. I guess that's probably a good amount, so I'm gonna keep that. I think I can still feel some bumpiness there, if not that much, because it's not like bumping out crazy anyways. And yeah, that's it. Another thing I may choose to change is the roughness of the material, because I don't see any reflection there, but that could be because of my lighting is too simple, right? It's just a very far away rectangular light, so I guess there's nothing I can reflect from, but that's okay. As long as the reflection here is good, I don't really bother if I don't have too much reflection around the eyeball. Alright, so that's some detail setup that I can control here around the eyeball material. Let me close that. So I'm pretty much done with the eyeball texturing and material, but you can do more fine tune if you wanted to create more controls, like for example, the things I was mentioning, like in the render, right? What if I want to have the edge to have more red color, right? That's something happens in real life too. If I want that, I need that color to be, you know, to be multiplied by some red color on the edge. So let me go create a multiply divide and multiply my blank color result to input 2. Input 1 will be another ramp. Control D to duplicate this guy, and this ramp will be used as input 1. And I'm gonna make this part in the middle to be white, and this guy will be a red color. Alright. So if I multiply my blank color result with that red color, then I can get some decent red on the edge of my eye. You can already see that on the edge. Okay, just some little touch that you can still do here. And just be flexible with the ramp, and you can achieve a lot of things already with only that. So let me stop the render. Now you can see that already happening. Maybe it's too much, so I can maybe drag that back more so that the multiplication is happening more gently on the edge. Alright, again, this is easier than trying to texture it, and that's the power of using renderers like, you know, Arnold, because those things can be procedural. Doesn't mean you cannot do that in Unreal Engine. You can, no problem, but just it's actually pretty easy here. Okay, so after taking a lot of things here on the material of the eyeball, now I can move on to what's happening on the iris, which is not that complicated in my opinion. I don't have to do too much. The color texture is already giving me a lot of detail already, but I can also use that guy to do bump map here too, right? To bump it up. And the bump value generally is too big if you're using if you're using, you know, a generic texture map. But with that bump, I can see a lot of smaller detail happening inside already. And then I can define like how much the bump is, maybe 0.5 to get lesser noisy result of there. But I'm pretty happy with the result I'm getting. So I'm just maybe gonna keep it that way. But it's your choice to either make it stronger or lesser strong. Yeah, up to you. All right. For the rigging part, one of the things you can use to rig this eye to make it go better, to make the dilation of the pupil, you can just use, you can just control this attribute. Not that guy. this oh, whoa, let's take a look at that is driving the opacity. I don't know why this guy is going crazy. The specular is being controlled by this ramp. Why oh yeah, I'm trying to use that to squeeze the specularity positioning. Sorry about that. I don't know why I drag it that way. Anyway, so the dilation of the pupil, if you want to, you know, rig it, you can use this guy. Yeah, this guy, and you can control the position here of those two nodes. If you drag them inwards, the pupil will be dilating more. That reflection is from the eyeball, I guess, so it should disappear in a different angle. It's just my lighting is too simple, so it's weird sometimes. But anyway, so that's basically the lighting setup. Sorry, the material setup of the eye. I hope everything here works for you, and a lot of things you can still tweak. Like I think I may want to go back and make the bumpiness bigger here, so that I can feel the veins bumping out more. But that's basically it. I don't see that this should work on most of the cases. Some other touches that you may want to try is, you know, have a nice edge lighting or rim reflection on the edge because of the white color happening, white you know, liquid happening around the eyeball, between the eyeball and the eyelid. In old mental ray, there is a node that it will generate something out there. I don't know if Arnold have that. As far as I know, it doesn't. I hope it have that, but it doesn't. I think I'm gonna maybe do some research on that and eventually be able to redo that part. Some people just create geometry there, but I think that's gonna be, this is a little bit chunky because, you know, how do you rig it, right? How do you make it go when you're rigging, when you're rotating the eyeball and everything? So I'm thinking maybe there is another way that you can achieve that, but until then I'm gonna end up this tutorial for now. And let me do a full render so we can probably see everything. I need my eye duplicated to the other side, so I'm gonna Control G to group them together and Control D to duplicate that and flip it on scale X. Right. And oftentimes you want to put them together and take a look. Of course, I don't have any, you know, other parts that I need, like eyelashes and eyebrow, a lot of shapes. I think I may need to go back and tweak some of the shapes of the eyelid to get better results. You know, a lot of things you can tweak to make it better. It's never ending when it comes to tweaking shading materials. I think the bumpiness might be is too much up there, so I may need to go back and tweak that. The bumpiness is too much, maybe 0.1 or so to make it more flat. Yeah, or 0.05, and I don't want it to be dilating too much, so let me drag it back. Right, the reflection inside is getting a little insane. So that's probably because of the bumpiness here. I'm going to change the reflection roughness on my Irish, just make it rougher so that I'm not getting some really weird results up there. It's too much, and the bumpiness is still too much. A lot of things, again, you can go and tweak. Alright. So I guess I'm going to leave all the other tweaking for you to figure out. Some people go inside and actually create this placement map using ZBrush to specifically design how far away those bumps goes out. I personally see that as a little redundant because, you know, it's a really small part, and a bumpiness should be able to achieve that with ease, and it's lighter. It doesn't really make that much of a difference if you use a displacement map. Okay, so that's gonna be the tutorial for the eye modeling and shading. I hope that the techniques here works for you, and see you next time.